It is official. Manchester United announce the signing, the appointment of Ruben Amorim as the new Manchester United manager. Ladies and gentlemen, big breaking news in the early part of the afternoon. Manchester United have announced that Amorim is the new official Manchester United manager. This is now confirmed. The club have released a statement which we will go through with you. But of course, hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. Make sure those bell notification buttons are turned on as well. Get that done, my people. Get it done right now. Tony straight in says, happy to hear this. I think we all, as Man United fans, are very, very happy to hear this. Of course, we are, without a shadow of a doubt. Very good, very positive news for Manchester United fans. We've been waiting for this, what feels like all week. And this is what they say, United. And this is what's very important. And we are going to jump into this. Read the opening statement. United appoint Amorim as head coach. Very, very important message here from Manchester United. That is that Amorim is the head coach. He is not the manager. He is not running the football club. Just reading their statement here. He is the head coach. Now, that for me is hugely significant when it comes to the way in which Manchester United are going to be running things in the coming days, the coming weeks, the coming months. A lot of people questioning, how is the operation going to work? How are Manchester United going to conduct themselves? What is it that they're going to be doing, essentially? Will somebody else be running it in the same way Moyes, LVG, Jose did? No. Their statement says head coach. They go on to say here, Man United are delighted to announce the appointment of Ruben Amorim as head coach of the men's first team, subject to his work visas. How he will join until June 2027 with a club option for an additional year once he has fulfilled his obligations with his current club. He will join Manchester United on Monday, the 11th of November, the beginning of the international break. Ruben is one of the most exciting and highly rated young coaches in European football, highly decorated as both a player and a coach. His titles include winning the Primeira League twice in Portugal with Sporting, the first of which was the club's first title in 19 years. Ruud van Nistelrooy will continue to take charge of the team until Ruben joins. But as I say, what is really, really significant when it comes to this situation. What do you mean by sound? Let me know what you mean. What is very, very significant in this is head coach is what is being pushed here, not that of a manager, not that of anything other than a head coach. And this, to me, is absolute music, genuine music to my ears. This is what I wanted to hear. This is what I wanted to see. This is what I wanted to get from Manchester United. I wanted it to be all about the head coach. And Twisted Bubba here says, what is he says? Where's it gone? His comment disappeared now. Terry, is this good news long term? Look, no one can tell the future, but yes, I believe it is. All these questions in the last few days, United need to stop buying managers for players for a specific manager. They've got to stop letting a manager run the football club. They have to have a club system, a club ethos, a club culture where a head coach comes in to run a particular part, i.e. coaching the first team. This is what Man United have done. And it's the first time we've behaved like a modern day club in my life. There are no more Fergies. The head coaches today are not trained. They're not developed. They're not educated to run football clubs. They are trained. They are educated to coach first teams, pick first teams, and manage that area of the football club, that department. This is amazing news. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. And from my point of view, from my perspective, from the way I feel about it, I've been asking for it. So I'm not going to sit here and start complaining. I'm not going to sit here and start looking for negatives. The club, typically speaking, since Ineos have come in, since the likes of Barada, Ashworth and co. started actually making day-to-day decisions, running the football club, there is fundamental change. So whenever you hear, Man United fans, whenever you hear somebody say, I don't see what's different, I don't see any element of Man United that has changed, call BS, because that's what it is. It's a lie. It is a bull-faced lie. They're ignoring all the stories that came out in the summer about the way the transfers are now going to operate. They're ignoring the fact that we've rebuilt the football decision makers with men with great CVs in the industry, and even down to how we've appointed the new head coach. It's the first time in Man United's history that we haven't hired a manager and a head coach. So to now say that things are exactly the same, that there are no changes, the outcome will be, as the previous 5 managers since Fergie, the outcome will be the same as them because nothing else has changed. It's a lie. You can still predict this to foul. Doesn't mean you have to rate Amorim. Doesn't mean you have to think Man United are getting back to the top. But if the logic is nothing has changed, you're being lied to. You are fundamentally being lied to. It's as simple and it is as straightforward as that. So I, for one, very, very happy indeed, over the moon that this is now in. I'd love to get your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions on this in the comment section below. If you could please get that done for us, my lovely, lovely people. That'd be great if you could. And yeah, listen, I'm very, very, very excited about the future now for Manchester United. I really am. It's going to be amazing. Do you think Ruud will leave and Amorim will bring in his coaches? It very much looks like Amorim will be bringing in his coaches. So therefore, yes, I think he will go, which is a bit of a shame because but look, he wants to be a manager, and a lot of the rumors were that he came in to essentially take the job off of Ten Hag. That has all now been completely and utterly disproven. That lie has been 100% debunked. And what this is more about is him coming in, I think, learning from Ten Hag, good, bad, and ugly, working with Man United, keeping himself busy and active, improving himself as a coach until his next role comes along. I think it now is more clear than ever that the idea of bringing him in was never really for the long term. Even if Ten Hag had been successful, I think that there's a big possibility that Ruud would go on to do a managerial job elsewhere. So yeah, I think that will happen. Afternoon, saying hello to afternoon to Mama Flossie. Hope you're all well, all my admins. Hope you're all good. Hello, Mama Flossie. Hope you are well. Amorim's reign starts by getting pumped by Chelsea. Well, his reign doesn't start until after that. So there we go. How long do you give him? You've got to expand more on that question. It's too vague to answer. It's too vague. The players are now in an audition and must remain consistent. No drop-offs going forward. That started on Wednesday. Well, this is the thing, Tony. As I've already mentioned, there is a huge fundamental difference in how we're now operating. The structure is different. And it's, we look at these things. As an outsider who's learned a lot in the last 5 years, let me take a sip of this water. As an outsider who over the last 5 to 7 years has learned so much about my rivals' clubs, due to running the Football Terrace and talking about football the way we do, challenging rivals coming on, super chatting, comments, your education changes. What I didn't know at the time when Mikel Arteta came into Arsenal is that there was such fundamental change going on behind the scenes. I read little bits here and there, but I wasn't digesting Arsenal news in the same way that I would Manchester United, as an example, back then. So when it came to the start of life at Arsenal under Arteta, I was probably a little harsher than I should have been in relation to understanding exactly what was being done behind the scenes, what was being cleared out, what was changing. As soon as that was made kind of aware to me through various conversations with Arsenal fans, listening to Arsenal podcasts, etc., you realize that when people talk about players being on audition, a lot of the guys in that squad he inherited were. And you speak about, time for change. The difference here is this. We've got a far more experienced manager than Arteta was when he came in at the beginning of a rebuild. And I actually think we have a better squad than Arsenal did at that stage as well. So do I expect it to take 2.5 years to really get to some consistent football? No. However, do I expect it to take a couple more summers until we have a squad capable of even challenging for the Premier League? Absolutely. So players are on audition. Fans need to be patient. And the reason why I think we can be patient this time round without saying PTSD is we can see that this is fundamentally different to previous regime changes. So I think that for me is absolutely key here. It really, really is. Terry, does Amorim understand the definition of pragmatic? I have no idea. You'd have to ask him. I can't speak for him on that. Great news for you boys, Teza. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that, mate. And it is good news for a Man United fan. You know, Man United fans today should be feeling excited. We should be feeling amazing about this news. I'm going to put a poll up for you guys. And by the way, if you haven't smashed the like button yet, please get that done. 1 sec. Sorry, I can't type today. My brain ain't working. Do you know what? I can't type and talk at the same time. Have you? Less dyslexia for you. Oh my God, I can't spell because I'm rushing. My word. There we go. A little poll coming up for you as well. Tony there, 17 months as a member as well. Batman says, I think it's very clear from Ruben to come in and just before the internationals. Quite clever. Just after, I think you mean. Gives him a bit more time to settle in. Yeah, it does. It does give him a little bit more time. Plus, there's some honor in this. He has requested that he wants to, get Sporting through to the international break. He doesn't want to just leave them in the lurch now, which I think's fair. So look, some people at Sporting might think, oh, he's doing a runner anyway. I'm not happy, arsehole, etc. I don't think so. Seeing Sporting fans crying on camera, they're so sad that he's leaving. As horrible as it is to sort of witness that, like seeing people upset, it's amazing news from a Manchester United perspective. It really, really is. Jamie Jackson already questioning Amorim on TalkSport. What a joke. Look, I look at it this way. I know Jamie Jackson a little bit. I've done shows with him. I've had conversations with him. He's a nice enough guy. I think what's really interesting about all of this is, and I want to make sure I say this in the right way. What I find very, very interesting about this whole sort of scenario is I feel that journalists, Man United are potentially now, and I want to make sure I word this in the right way. I'm also typing at the same time because I've got no one backstage doing any of that for me, so I'm doing it all myself at the same time. I'm going to answer this question now, just while I've had to type and change a few things. A lot of journalists can see that real change is happening at Manchester United. The same as a lot of rivals can see that a lot of change is happening at Manchester United. And this, I think, has been a worry, a concern for the mainstream media for a long time. They ignored for the best part of 2 decades how bad the Glazers were at running our club. Every now and then they would put their heads above the parapet and they would criticize them, normally when financial returns came out or there was a protest. Outside of that, whenever you tried to blame the owners and how we were run, which they were accountable for, they are the reason we fell off, you were met with a sort of a litany of attacks around manager, player, manager this, Pogba that, Rooney this, Jose that, Oli this. And a lot of their points held water in isolation to picking a team that day, but they would ignore the way the club is being run. We have seen Ineos attacked no end by the mainstream media already. And essentially, we saw this in the early stages of Arsenal's improvements too. And there's a reason that I stood up for Arsenal, is that I always felt that if Man United could get it right and we could start improving, everything you've seen happen to Arsenal would then be done in exactly the same way to Manchester United. And what I didn't want to do is appear as a hypocrite, join in with the pile-on with Arsenal, talk out of both sides of my mouth about Arsenal's rebuild, just for when it becomes Man United's turn, me to have a completely different view. I just didn't want to be that person. It wouldn't feel right to me. So I am not surprised. You were going to see journalists attacking this. You're going to see journalists talk about, but it's only a short-term deal. Does it mean they're back there, man? You're going to see journalists come out and talk about, oh, head coach, not a manager. How much do they really trust him? You're going to hear all this talk of how quickly they're going to buy him his players. You're just going to hear all these nonsense rhetorics. Nonsense rhetorics are going to come out. 2.5 years with a year extension is long enough for a head coach. He is not running the club. He is not rebuilding the club. He doesn't need 5 years to rebuild. The club is building with or without him. He's a head coach. You don't want to be giving out massively long contracts, because if he fails as a head coach, it costs you too much money to get him out. But the project isn't changing. How long is it going to take to get his players in? 2 or 3 years. Doesn't matter which manager's here. It was always going to take 2 or 3 years from this summer just gone to build a squad good enough to win the league. So when I see people are trying to use that as a way of attacking Amorim, it's just bullshit. The squad was never going to be good enough for any manager to come in and win straight away. We all knew that. Let's not kind of try and reframe things now. But you were going to see them. And if we start to play well, the attacks from the mainstream media are going to be like nothing you have ever seen before. Mark my words, because it's already begun. It really, really has. Ten Hag spent over 600 million. No money left for Amorim. Well, Man United are wealthy. Man United have huge income. Man United's owners are reducing debts. Plus, there's a lot of players that were purchased in that time that are still very good and will do well under this manager. Talk about United. Stop Arsenal the whole damn day. This is the Man United stream. Sorry to say this, you pleb. You absolute pleb. Most of our live streams this whole week have been about Man United as the main story. Most. Barring, I think, when Chelsea and City were knocked out, they were the main front headline. Why? Because Man United news are dominated. One of my members actually commented to me the other day saying, Terry, why do you typically talk about the trending news? Is that just to get views? I'm like, not directly, but imagine going live when Man United announce Amorim to talk about, I don't know, are Man City going to win this weekend? Why would anybody do that on a channel like mine? It makes no sense. If you're a Man City channel, then fair enough. But there we go. Let's have a look at some more of your comments that have come through here. Good morning, Terry. Ruben Amorim is a good appointment by Ineos. I think he will do well and win you important games. Look, I hope so. I mean, there's definitely going to be, there's definitely going to be like a bedding in period. There's definitely going to have to be an adaptation to his system. I don't think he'll be able to play as high a line straight away, although Lenny Yoro could be back by the time he comes in. He has got a lot of recovery pace. There's going to be adaptations, but overall, I'm really excited about how he is going to play football with us. I'm very excited, though, more than about Amorim, but proof that we're moving into the modern day world when it comes to how a football club should be run. I'm not saying I was the only one, but out of all the YouTubers, this is what I've been asking for the best part of a decade. Initially, I was laughed at. Then I was scoffed at. Every time a manager was sacked, I was told, see, Terry, you were wrong. It's just a manager. And the next manager always failed, which is always unfortunate. But I knew this, for me, is the way to operate. Not because I'm some know-all, not because I've got better football knowledge than anybody else. You just look at how all the other successful clubs are being run, and it is similar to this. So it stands to reason. Now, if you're going to the gym, right, and there's 10 guys in there, not an ounce of fat on them, in good shape, lifting heavy weights, flat stomachs, right? And you're sitting in there, you're lifting the same weight as them, you've got this big pudgy belly. There's something you're not doing that they are. You've got to change, right? You can't, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Eventually my belly will go. Well, it hasn't gone in the last 10 years, mate. So you've got to change something. Maybe speak to the people that are getting it right. You know, it's just basics. Basics, in my opinion. Terry, why did Amorim accept the job at such a young age? Because he believes in himself. Plus, I think the age is less daunting. I think what a lot of the previous failures at Man United have realized is that they were just not capable of running the football club. Amorim is the first manager since Sir Alex that is not coming in to replace Sir Alex. He's coming in to be the head coach. He is not managing the whole football club. He has no power over the whole football club. That, I think, destroyed all the other managers because it's just not doable in the modern day world. The clubs are too big, too much going on, and there isn't the training that comes before it. What sort of club conducts auditions and then spends 65 million on Havertz, knowing You know what I mean by auditions. We're not going to get pedantic over that point. I'm talking about the original group that's Arteta and the Josh Kroenke Edu inherited. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Official announcement is important. It doesn't leave any air for questions and rumors. At least we seem to have some idea of the direction Man United want to go in. Absolutely. We certainly have a direction. We understand where we're going. Of course, sorry, I just read a funny comment from Canadian Cam. It threw me. I'm going to put it up in a second. It shows what direction that we're going in. I think it's important to get the announcement out because if Ruud does win this weekend, we're talking about that on Straight Facts in a couple of hours, by the way. If Ruud does win this weekend, as an example, and sorry, I read another comment there. If he wins this weekend, but we still haven't announced him, you will start to get that, oh, should they really be thinking about another manager? This just kind of nips it in the bud nicely. A Canadian Cam here actually says, except if them man are doing steroids. However, you do steroids, but you still eat the wrong foods. You're not, if you don't sleep enough, if you're drinking loads of beer still, you'll still have a pot belly. So it's still, running or not, you've still got to look at the people that are getting it right and say, well, they must be doing something different to me. Because typically speaking, there are outliers, but typically speaking, if you eat good food, sleep well, train hard, drink the right fluids, and then you're in the gym doing a certain type of training, you should look similar to the other people in there training in that way. But if you're not, typically speaking, it's because you're cutting a corner somewhere or you're making a mistake. But yeah, I get you. Genetics comes into your weightlifting analogy. Yes, absolutely. But I'm only going by the people I used to train with. You know, my gym had 100 different people in it. Most people were in decent shape. Some people's bodies, yes, you're looking at fucking hell. Look at him. He's like an Adonis. And there's genetics there. But I'm talking here about looking good. I'm not saying that there isn't going to be a spectrum in everybody looking good. But if you line all the people up that eat good, train well, sleep well, they're all in very good shape. Some look better than others, but they're all in pretty good shape. You know what I'm saying? It's the way it is. You know, sometimes you see boxers, right? And they go, oh, yeah, just the genetics. I can't have a six pack. It's like, no, it's because outside of your training camps, you're eating and drinking the wrong things. So when time you get to training camp, a big part of your training camp is about losing weight as opposed to sharpening up. If you live the life and you're constantly fit, you're in better condition. But generally speaking, what you eat, what you drink, how you train will determine how you look. Hit the like button. Make sure you get that done. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you very much indeed. Looks like they have a good manager now. Might need a bit of time to build a squad. Of course we do. I mean, Matthew, I'm not even having a dig at what you're saying, but you're beyond right. It was always going to take time to build a squad with or without this manager. So that for me is a little bit of a moot point. It was already going to take 2 or 3 years to make this squad very good. And I think we started well in the summer. The Litz look great. Mazawari's look great. We'll see what Lenny looks like when he comes in. The only player so far that really I'm not sure about is Xerxes. But I think they said somewhere that even the best managers ever, best run teams, the Man Cities of this world in recent years, still only have like a 50 to 55% succession rate on signings. So we signed 5 guys in the summer. 2 or 3 are looking really good. 1 isn't. That's a pretty decent ratio in my personal opinion. Tyson Fury ain't all muscle, but he's still a good boxer. Yes, but the reason he looks the way he looks is what he does, what he eats, and what he drinks outside of training. And he's probably at an age now where it's a lot harder to get it off. So age factors into this as well. So again, if you're a 50-year-old man who's been overweight and you're looking at a 21-year-old and going, how do I get into that shape? There's a differential here. So again, you're looking like for like because football clubs are not people. So the age is almost irrelevant. But if Tyson Fury from the age of 18 years of age till now, which is what nearly 20 years, if in this time period he would have barely drunk alcohol, wouldn't have eaten bad food, slept good, didn't have all those big blow-ups in weight, he wouldn't have those love handles in the same way that he does now. He just wouldn't, in my personal opinion. So, and again, I'm just talking about, I grew up in gyms. I grew up in martial arts gyms. I grew up in kickboxing gyms. I grew up in weightlifting gyms. One of the gyms I trained at for 7 years was literally martial arts one side, and the other side was one of the best bodybuilding gyms in Manchester. And you're just around it. See it. I stand by it. Terry, where do you think Man United will finish at the end of the season under this new manager? I'm gonna wait before making that prediction. I want to wait until see how we look to give a full prediction. But right now, I think we will make the top 6. That's my gut feeling right now. My gut feeling right now is top 6, personally. It's got flash in the pan written all over it. If you think so, mate. If you think so. Terry, thoughts on the delayed start time? Is it a positive or a negative? Listen, the delayed start time, when you read the Portuguese press, is predominantly due to him saying, I want to stay to manage the last 2 league games and the Europa League game. I want Sporting to get their ducks in a row and get a new manager in place. I want a sensible time to leave and come in. I like that. I like that dedication. I like that attitude. And I like that behavior. It isn't, look, going to get paid £6 million a year over here, go to the biggest, most prestigious club in England. I'm off. See you later, Sporting. There is a respectful way to leave, and he is conducting himself in that way. So I quite like it, Patrick. I'd like him today to be our manager coaching the team, but I like what it is that he has done. I can be objective about that and say fair play to him. Hi, Terry. I think a lot of players will fit in very well with Ruben's tactics. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident that there'll be a few. Listen, I don't know who the players are going to be. I'm not even going to make any real hard prediction on who's going to make it, who isn't. I think all the technical players have got a chance. I was reading yesterday that a lot of people in Portugal think that Christian Eriksen is going to be hugely important for him, which I thought was interesting. They obviously watch Amorim's game a lot more. So there we go. Some of these rivals are having panic attacks already, and they dressed it up as Amorim is shit. We will see. Calm down. I hear you there. Ronnie here says Ruben faces City on Tuesday in the Champions League. Yeah, that game has now got a whole different meaning to it. It's almost like a Manchester derby in many ways. So yeah, I'm also with the way he's left, by the way. Man United were always going to be good with it as well. United and Sporting have a fantastic history and relationship. They were officially our feeder club, officially on our books as a feeder club for a long time. So there's always been a great working relationship, a great professional relationship and friendship between the two football clubs. So yeah, I'm not surprised that there's been this happy medium found in these conversations. Do you think Bruno had some influence in getting Ruben, as he did an interview not so long ago about how he is? No, I don't think so. And I think in previous regimes since Fergie, they would have listened to players in that way. I don't think Barada, Ashworth, Wilcott, these guys are going to go and take the recommendations of the players. I think this is their man who they wanted personally. That's my view. But look, everyone's going to have a different take on that, which is fair enough. I would love to get yours. But as we said at the top of the video, the announcement is through, and Ruben Amorim is now the new Manchester United head coach. And I'm going to make sure I get that distinction right. It's hard for me because we've always used different terminology at Manchester United, but he is now officially the new head coach. He starts on Monday, the 11th of November, and will be here for at least 2.5 years. I'm very, very excited about that. We will be live again, people, later today at 3:30. Sorry, 3:30 with Staffy, Don, and Lawless. So make sure you're all back with us for that. Before you leave here, please make sure the like button has been smashed and make sure you are subscribing. Until next time, take care. Good. I've got a little surprise later as well. I've got a little surprise later as well. So we'll be showing you. Although they are scrimping a little bit, YouTube, for all the money they make. I'm telling you, we've got a little surprise later coming too. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.